Right, welcome to the Start Collecting video. It's for the Eldar, and this is like an introduction to the faction. Perhaps you're thinking about collecting Eldar, and so this will give you an idea of the kind of models. You can see an army laid out just here. This is a current list that I'm running, and then I'll show you some other units as well. A bit of a showcase of the different units that I have. It's one of my larger collections for the Eldar. I really enjoy collecting them. I think they're very enjoyable to collect for sure. Great variety of them, plenty of colour schemes to choose from. You can paint them however you want. All different craft worlds as well that you can pick, and different play styles. A lot of variety with an Eldar army for sure. Some great characters and so on, and some great looking units for sure. So the appeal of the army. It's one of the early armies that I collected when I got back into Warhammer 40,000. It was the look of the models that I liked the most. The striking scorpions just looked incredible. I looked at the models and I thought I really want to paint those. That's how it started. So I started painting up some of the different units, and then developed an army from there. I really like the play style of them as well. We'll cover that a bit later. But that was the appeal for me, was the miniatures. They may be older, like these striking scorpions here, these lead ones. They are older models, but and usually the older models, they sort of date a bit. But they're still, the look of them still fresh, and still some of the best sculpted miniatures that Games Workshop have. So, and as you can tell by the channel name, so it was the Striking Scorpions was one of the main units for me. But then other units as well, some fantastic looking units out there. The plastic ones that Games Workshop have released as well, like these Wraiths. I'll zoom in soon and you'll be able to see some of these models up close. Also the other aspect was the actual colour schemes of them as well. So not only were the miniatures really nice, but the whole colour scheme of the scorpions, for example, and the howling banshees and the other aspects was a major draw as well. And I just thought, well, it'd be so nice to paint 10 of these in green and copy that colour scheme, and then paint some orange ones, turquoise ones. So there's plenty of variety and challenge for you to paint as well. So I found that as a nice appeal. Maybe you've got Necrons or something and you're painting them all silver, or SSWG and painting them all the same. But with Eldar, it's something that's dazzling potentially in its variety. Just to introduce you to the faction, I'll just read from the back here. This is a nice overview that Games Workshop give on the back of the Codex. Home to the survivors of a race that once ruled the galaxy, the Eldar Craftworlds are massive starships that sail the sea of stars. Their peoples have so far evaded extinction through the unparalleled psychic prowess of the seers, the dedication of elite warriors that embody the excellence in the art of battle, and that's kind of the theme that you want to go for with the Eldar, just this super elite experts in battle, and the technological superiority of their sleek engines and weapons of war. So sleek, stylish play here that you want is the theme. Yet the times have grown dire, and now every one of their dwindling number must walk the darkest of paths if they're to overcome the lesser races of the galaxy and the terrible threat of chaos. Despite the threats ranged against them, the children of Assyrian remain determined that the flame of the Eldari will blaze brightly once more. So looking for glory, the glory that they once had in the past, and it's very, as I said, stylish, sleek, quick play force that you're looking for with the Eldar. And so that may well be a radical departure from perhaps the clunking, slow Space Marine army that you have, or the droves of monotonous infantry for the SSWG. You can instead go for something that's a lot more intelligent and elite in the form of the Eldar. So there's that whole arrogant sort of we're superior theme going on with them as well, which can irritate your opponent as well, but that's the whole theme behind these also. But Eldar players, a lot of people really like their Eldar. They're just a great faction, so big fan of them. They're a major focus on the channel here as well. So we've talked a little bit about their play style. So you're looking at the way I used to play. If you look at some of the old battle reports, plenty of battle reports on both of the channels for these. Play style would have been swift attacks, ambush styles, attacking from all different directions, and then just cutting the opponent up and dazzling them with a display of style before they even know what's hit them. That's how I used to play them in 7th edition. I went a bit more defensive with them in 8th edition, sort of gun line, and now, as you can see from this new list, I've gone back to some more elite, stylish sort of play with those. So that's the kind of style with them. So elite units that are really good, and then you sort of combine them all together, different aspects to your army, combine them together, working as a team to pull off great victories. So that's the kind of play style with those. So quick movement from them, you know, jet bikes flying around very quick, infantry pretty fast, you know, the Wraith Knight as well, moving nice and quickly, so there's that kind of theme going on, nice speed with those. Weaknesses then can be not as tough. You know, the infantry here, toughness 3, it's a bit weak. I've tried to counterbalance that by taking some tougher units that are harder to wound, but there is that sort of weaker aspect to them, and because they can end up being quite elite, if they're exposed for too long and you don't use them quick enough, they can get blown away. So there's that danger there. So it's a challenge for them, for sure, but the Eldar have the resources. I would say to field any type of army you want. If you want to go gunline, lots of tanks, then you can. The Eldar have the resources to do it in the different unit options. Or if you want to go for a super tough army, you can do that in the form of like a Wraith style army. If you want to go for hordes of infantry, you can sort of pull that off to some degree also. Now, as far as painting the models is concerned, I've chosen this turquoise colour scheme here. Now, at this point, I'll zoom in so you can take a look at some of the models. So it's just to give you a good idea. Maybe perhaps you're thinking about collecting Eldar and you want a nice view of how they look. So Wraith Blades here. You can take blades or a shield and an axe, which is what I've gone for with these. I've magnetised mine so I can swap out the swords on these if I want to. But great looking model. Big model, those ones. I'll show you another one of them just here. So I mentioned the colour scheme. So I wanted to go for sort of an alien, off-world kind of colour scheme. So bronze for the metallics, and then this alien looking turquoise colour, which I'm really happy with, and a nice clean cut white and the black there as well. So if you like this colour scheme here, then there is a full painting tutorial for the Eldar on the channel here. If you just go to the painting tutorial section, you'll see how to paint Eldar, and it's this colour scheme that you can use on all of the infantry, and it's exactly the same process. There's no difference with the vehicles and even the larger models as well. So you can check that out, and I'll show you from start to finish, step by step, how to reach the exact same results that you see here. Just to show you how that works on other models. There's the Autarch on a jet bike, the Autarch Skyrunner. And again, I've just applied the same painting technique on him, exactly the same as that Wraith Guard or Wraith Blade that you saw just there. It says him. One of the older models, this one. I think it looks great, the double banner. Looks fantastic. So I'll show you some more of the turquoise. There's Wraith Guard here with the Wraith cannons I've gone for. These are plastic. And then the newly sculpted Eldar jet bikes. That was the old star, which was around for a long time. Still looks pretty cool. And then that's the new type. Just there. Beautiful plastic miniature. This one, brilliant kit. They look very, very nice. And you can see I went for a checkered effect on the back here. And then this is a chevron marking out the squad numbers. So I have a thick bar fin, and then a thick bar 2 fin ones and 3 fin ones, just to mark out the different squads. An easy way of marking those out. And I painted up the old avatar in that colour scheme as well, so you can apply it to different characters and so on, such as Prince Uriel. Really happy with how he came out. That's not his official colour scheme, but I painted him up in this colour scheme here, just to match in with the other units that I have. And then regular Guardians, plastic, and again great looking models, really good. That's a bear head, the others Regas for the leader of the squad. Then moving on, as I said, you got these aspect warriors that come in different colour schemes. So there's so much variety of these for painting. Perhaps one of the most varied armies that you can paint is the Eldar. So if you like that aspect for the hobby side of things, then I'd recommend Eldar to you. So Dyer Avengers here. Again, you know, radically different colour scheme. I've painted the official colour scheme here, but again, if you flick through the codex, you'll see there's all different variations, official variations for the Dyer Avengers as well. You can make up your own colour scheme, so tons of flexibility with these. But that's the classic Dyer Avenger colour scheme, which I really liked. I wanted to paint them up in that style. So that's the Exarch there in the regular Dyer Avenger. Again, older models, but beautiful, beautiful models. These are plastic, these ones, but I think these are excellent. Really nice. Then some lead models now at Howling Banshees, another one of the classic units here for the Eldar. So Exarch here, the Executioner, regular Howling Banshee just there. So another, vastly different colour scheme, beautiful unit. I'll zoom in now on the, shall show you the Striker Scorpions. Again, radically different colour scheme available for them, but they're quite incredible. I love the chevrons on the side of the chainswords here, and just the green, and then the yellow ribbing as well. Just love the whole colour scheme. So yeah, that was the case of when I started collecting these. I was like, oh, these are really nice. Love the Dyer Avengers, Howling Banshees. I want to paint a unit of each, and you really can do that to represent all the different aspects that are there. Shining Spears here, they're meant to be white and blue as the official colour scheme. I took my own colour scheme idea and adapted the official colour scheme for the Fire Dragons and put it onto these. I wasn't keen on painting all the white, so I went to orange instead, and quite happy with how these have come out. Very, very bright on the battlefield. This is the Exarch here, like so. Then there's a few others. There's Dark Reapers, just give me a bit of variety here just to see the Dark Reapers. Chance to see all these different models. Again, a radically different colour scheme for those. I went with the classics because, they're tried and tested, they've been around for a long time, and it's nice to have the classic aspect colour schemes represented. But again, you can do as you please, you can change your colour schemes around as much as you want. There's an Autarch here. Power Sword and a Banshee Mask, I think, for him. And the wings. Then, this is this is an avatar of Kane. This is the smaller lead model, just here, and then I've gone for the bigger version. This is a Forge World model, but I think this is more of an accurate representation of the size, and psychologically absolutely menacing look to him. So I'll zoom out a little bit here, so you can get a full view of him. But he's huge, massive model. Added some spare transfers from my Eldar transfer sheet onto there. Took a fair while to paint, but not too bad. But a great HQ to have in your army. Whilst we're zoomed out, we'll show you some of the tanks. So this is a Falcon. Here, Eldar could boast some pretty mean firepower from their tanks and some pretty good protection as well. These are tough as a regular main battle tank. So you can offer some pretty good protection and decent firepower at the same time. In the form of the Falcon, this can hold, I think, 6 models in the back. And then the full-on transport for them is, again, a classic unit for the Eldar. That's the Wave Serpent. Just here. You carry a nice lot of models, 12 models inside. It's got a Serpent Shield to offer a bit of protection. And then again, you can equip it with a whole variety of weapons. So shuriken cannons, twin shuriken cannons, or sort of anti-tank weaponry, anti-heavy infantry, whatever you decide that you need. You can change the loadouts on your models, no problem at all. That gives you a good idea of what you can have. And again, you can see that turquoise colour scheme being used for the vehicles, and then for the Wraith Knight it works for him as well. I'm just going to zoom out a bit more for this guy. So there he is. Now, that's 2 heavy Wraith cannons. But I magnetised mine. You get all the options in the box, so I can go for Sun Cannon here, and this arm comes off, and I can go for Scatter Shield as well, so for an invuln save and still keeping some firepower available for him. I magnetise the head and the torso and the arms. That's enough to create all sorts of poses and varieties with him, so you can see. Can go for some great poses. Yeah, you don't have to magnetise everything. You can just magnetise a few bits and get a different pose every time. So it looks pretty cool. The other option that I have is it's not been painted yet, but I may well try it out, and that's the sword. Which again just magnetised here, and you keep the invuln save with the shield, and then the sword just goes on like so. Yeah, he does look pretty mean with the sword. It's a cheaper option in points if you want to go for a real assault option. So again, you see this flexibility here. Anti-heavy infantry, anti-tank, in close combat ability available for him. And it's the same with the Eldar army. You can equip your units how you please, and you can choose certain aspects to fulfill whatever role that you want. So tons of flexibility with these for the Eldar, so that's a great aspect for them as well. So just move him out of the way. So yeah, so as far as painting them is concerned, if you're going to paint them up nicely, they are going to take a while. And I would recommend putting the effort in. But what's good about them is that you can spend time, say you're going to paint 10 Striker Scorpions, once they're painted, you know, well, that's them done, and you can look forward to painting something entirely different. So there's that freshness each time you paint a unit, which is another great aspect as well. They are a joy to collect from a practical point of view as well. So yeah, I'd say take your time, but you'll get an idea if you check out the paint tutorial. It'll give you an idea of the speed of painting these up. If you go for an elite army, there's not as many models and units to paint, which again is going to save you time as well. You may say, well, my Imperial Guard are really easy to paint. Yes, but you may have 100 models to paint. For the Eldar, you may be fielding 40 models and a few tanks, so there's that side of it as well. Not as big. So costs, all the 40k armies are generally the same kind of cost. Eldar perhaps might be a bit cheaper because you're not having to buy as many models perhaps, so that side of it may work out a bit cheaper as well. Little tricks then, I would look on eBay. Is a great resource. I'd use eBay a lot, especially if you're trying to find the older lead models, which I prefer over the fine cast. eBay is the best place I think to look, so check out that resource for searching for the older Eldar models. So then for assembly and storage, I have a Games Workshop carry case with all of the slots marked out in foam. That's for all the lead models. Lead will chip, and again fine cast as well, similar fragileness to them, so you need to keep the figures separate. Damage happens when models are knocking against each other when they're stored, and so the foam will separate them out, and that seems to store them pretty good. So that's not too bad. And then as far as the other units, it can be fragile. You've got things like this on here, and these weapons, they can be damaged also. So a lot of people ask me, well, how do you store your models? It's usually decent boxes and a little bubble wrap as well, just to wrap around the units and protect them. And damage happens when units bash into each other, either plastic or lead, and that's when you can get chipping and things snapping. So keeping models separated from each other and then wrapping them in bubble wrap seems to work fine. And then you emphasize certain units, like him for example, going to wrap him up very carefully, but things like Guardians and Dyer Avengers, they won't need as much protection. They'll bounce around no problem, so lightweight, and there's not much on them that's going to snap, so they'll be okay. So it's just depending on what type of unit it is. So we've talked about the overall style of play then, so I'd recommend checking out the battle reports. They'll give you a good idea of how the Eldar play, and I would recommend that so you can watch them and say, yeah, I like the way they play. I reckon I could use them and enjoy using them in that way, and so the battle reports will give you a good idea of how well the Eldar can perform. But one of my favourite armies for sure, one that's been around from the very start of the channel, and it's a great one to choose. Perhaps you're an Imperial player, you want to try something new. Eldar is one of the classic alternative options to go for, and drastically different to Astra Militarum, Space Marines and so on. Just these different aspects and colour schemes going on. Nice swift style kind of play, and you can definitely lead them to glorious. There's been some glorious victories for the Eldar, and previous season they were channel champions. No one could remove them from their throne. They're struggling at the moment, but their day will come, just as the Codex talks about in the background story as well. But there it is. That's the introduction to the Eldar here in this video. Perhaps if you're an experienced Eldar player, you can leave your own comments and feedback, your own experiences of using Eldar as well. But there it is. That's the video. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time.